Okay, so let's begin our class today while we wait for the others to join. Today I want to talk about career and how we can make wise decisions regarding our career. I don't know how many of you have already made some decisions regarding that. Can we see a show of hands, or can you write down if you have already decided what is it that you want to be in life? Can you please write it down in the chat or raise your hand? Yep. Yes, Daniela, good. Vaishnavi, yep. Good. Sneha, Dishant, good. Jaden, very good. That's it. Only 5. Okay. A physicist. That's very interesting. Okay. So those of you who raised your hands, Nathan, okay. What is it that you have decided to be? Doctor, good.
Yes, sir.
Musician, very good. Very nice. So those of you, yes, thank you. Samyukta, yep. Can you tell the rest of us, how did you come to this decision? How did you make this decision? A cricketer, okay. A doctor, an HR manager, very good. How did you decide? Daniela, why don't you start? How did you decide? A love for the subject, very good, yes. Daniela, are you there? Love for music, yes, wonderful. Vaishnavi, Samyukta, how did you decide? Okay, Jordan wants to be an astronaut. Okay, I think at some point we all wanted to be that, isn't it? When we were younger. Mm-hmm. So what are the common things that we normally take into consideration in order to decide? One, of course, as you rightly mentioned, a fascination or a love for the subject, the topic, the the profession. There's an interest, yes, a passion for it, and therefore we get into it. Yes, very good. Yep. Focus, scope of it. What do you mean by scope, Daniela? Very good. Yes, Preeta, you're absolutely right. A good teacher also creates the interest in the subject, and you begin to love the subject, and you get to enjoy it. Absolutely right. Okay. Vaishnavi, you haven't said anything? Why did you decide to be a gynecologist? Was it a gynecologist you said? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
So
what
it's
made you
just that
decide? How did you come to that conclusion?
it's just that when I
Yeah.
that eagerness get get more information about that. So and also our biology teacher teaches us very good bio, like it's very interesting. So
Okay.
like from ninth standard itself, I had a thing to become a gynecologist.
Right. Good. Good. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure you understand that, even no matter how good the teacher is, not everybody is going to become a doctor, isn't it? Not everybody is going to become a physicist, right? It has attracted you in some way to that subject because the teacher did it well, because you had a passion, you had an interest, there was some mystery about it, you wanted to know more about it. You're absolutely right in all these things. Okay. So love and passion. And yes, boys and girls, that is so crucial. And I'm so glad that many of you are thinking along those lines. Why do I say that? In days past, Not many could do that. Why? Because in many cases, there was no money in those things. You couldn't make a living. These are not respectable things to get into, right? And many people assume that, well, let us aim for that which gives you the highest amount of money, right? So doctor, engineer, lawyer, and things like that. Nurse, because you go to the Gulf, you go to foreign countries, you're paid a lot, you know. So those were the professions. Simply, money was the reason why people chose certain professions. Isn't money important?
So to an extent.
Money is important, right? That is what Daniela was talking about when she said scope. What are the various areas in which I can use my music? What are the opportunities available out there? Can I make a living out of it, right? If I earn pittance for the talent which I have and the ability which I have, you know, it's not going to help me in any way. You can use it as a hobby, but it can't be a profession if you're not going to earn. Correct? So it's important, boys and girls, for us to know what is the scope, what is the kind of salary that I can command, right? Is there a decent living? But let me remind you that must not be the complete or the biggest criteria. Number one, passion, right? And why do I say passion? There's a big reason for that. You see, we've been saying this, in many classes and morning assemblies and all that. Each one of us have been created with an innate ability and an interest and a passion in certain things, right? Then, secondly, our circumstances have also determined what is it that we should take an interest in, right? If you are surrounded by people who love music, and you are exposed every day to good music, you will be filled with a love and a passion for it, right? Similarly, you're inspired by teachers. I know that I was inspired by three very important teachers in my life. First one is an English teacher in high school. Second is a zoology teacher in college, and then my PhD guy, Dr. Ramnarayan, who was my dean, who was the chief guest for the speech day. These were three people who inspired me to excel in teaching. Excel in teaching, right? Then, so if you enter into a profession that you are good at, how amazing is that, right? You haven't thought about the money part of it, you haven't thought about anything else, but you've entered into a profession that you love doing for the rest of your life. Till your retirement, every day, you are passionate about that. Isn't that great? That would be so amazing to be in a profession like that. To get up every morning excited, to enter the day, to be, in that profession that you love, to look forward to the appointments, to look forward to the meetings, to look forward to go to work. That's great. Now, let me tell you, it's not going to happen every single day. There are days when you'll feel lazy, you'll feel tired, you want to take a break. That's perfectly understandable. But for the great majority of your life, you're doing something that you're passionate about. I think that's an amazing, amazing thing. It's a right fit. You know what that means? A right fit, right? Like a car, a washing machine, when they do the things that they were meant to do, right? If you use a washing machine to wash plates and cups and vessels, right, you're going to damage the washing machine, right? A washing machine was made, its parts were designed, for a certain job. And you take that machine and try to put something else, use it for something else, it will be an imperfect fit and it will get damaged. Boys and girls, many, many people today are in jobs that they hate. They are in professions simply because they thought this is going to make me the highest amount of money, right? And they hate it. They hate going to work every day, right? Because money is not all that. So number one, passion. Number two, as Daniel said, look at the scope. Where all can I use this? What are the job opportunities available out there, right? Make contacts, look at people, get inspired by people who are the best in the industry. And how did they make it? Look at that opportunity. Number three, of course, money, right? Don't make money. What we should look at, boys and girls, is money should be sufficient for your need. Sufficient for your need. If you focus so much on money, see, that is the mistake people are making, that if I have a lot of money, I'll be comfortable, I'll be luxurious, I'll be happy. But you and I know that that's a lie. The richest people are not the happiest people in the world, right? Despite what Hollywood and Bollywood and Tollywood and Collywood and whatever tells you. The richest people in the world are not the happiest people, the most content. Even, the poorest man can be content if he is doing what he is passionate about. If he's doing what he is passionate about. And so there must be some amount of money, yes, and you must be content with that. The problem is we compare ourselves to others. They got a bigger house, they were able to buy a new car. Every 10 years, they're buying a new car, new things in life. They can easily afford all these things. That means nothing. I mean, the recent incident that has rocked the nation, a guy who is worth millions and crores commits suicide. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that, looks and fame and popularity and money, they don't mean anything in life. They have no meaning in life. It has nothing to do with, the happiness of life. Okay? That's number two. That, your passion, your focus, your scope, and the money, that's the third aspect, right? Number four, it's important to attain the qualifications that are required for that career, right? Please note, boys and girls, that your desire may change. Today you all are in 10th standard. By the time you actually get into the profession, it may change. Your desire may change, right? There may be some things that will change your path. It's okay. It's okay. Even 10 years later, when you're in the profession, you may change your course. That's okay, right? I give you my classic example. I was an anatomist for 16 years, right? 16 years of my life, and I thought that's going to be my retirement. But God changed the path, and it wasn't really a change. It was actually, in those 16 years, he was actually preparing me for this role. And even now, I believe that there is another role for me, and God is going to move me into that at some point, and I should be ready. I don't have to be worried about that. That once you're stuck in a profession, some of you said, HR manager, astronaut, doctor, gynecologist. Let me give you some examples. I have a friend of mine in Australia. His parents paid 75,000 US dollars. 75,000 US dollars. Please calculate how much that is. How much that is in Indian?
I think that's 30 lakh rupees, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it was 30 lakh at that time. Now, of course, it is 75 lakhs easily. 30 lakh rupees, he paid, and this is about 15, 20 years ago, 1999. He paid that much money, what? To come to do MBBS in Manipur. Right? Because he was an NRI, they had money. So he paid for 5 years of education. This thing is extra, food, boarding, lodging, hostel, everything is extra. books, clothing, everything extra. So you can imagine how much it would have, you can add another 75 to that. Not less than 1 crore, 1.5 crore he would have spent, for his son in medical college. You know what the boy is doing now? He's a pastor. He's a pastor. He finished his MBBS and he finished a master's in surgery, and God called him for full-time ministry. And he went and did another master's of theology in Dallas Theological Grace Seminary in the US, John MacArthur Seminary, the Master's Seminary. Come back to Australia too. He's come back to Australia to serve as a pastor. Right? So he was not afraid to make a change. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Not afraid to make a change. There are people who have served as doctors, as lawyers, and then, they've been able to move into another field altogether, and that is perfectly okay. Perfectly okay. No problem. It says on an average, a person changes his career, his job, or his profession minimum 3 times on an average. On an average. I'm already on my 3rd job, right? So I've already finished the average, right? So that is the next. Don't be afraid to change. Similarly, geography, your education, these need not be the boundaries. You should be a lifelong learner. You should be able to change. You should be able to learn something brand new. There are so many who after 12th standard, they were not sure what they wanted to do. I don't know how many of you are in that position now. We are not sure what we want to do, right? And because we are not sure, our parents will, push us into some particular career or the other. That's fine, for some particular college. I know of many boys and girls in Manipur who entered into MBBS or BDS because their parents pushed them. And that was never the profession they intended, but it was only in their 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year that they realized, look, I'm not meant to be a doctor. And they wanted to quit in between. But by the time their parents have already paid most of the fees, and they're stuck. And parents are saying, no, I've already paid the fees. You can't quit. So my encouragement to them was, you finish it. Whatever it is you want to do, you finish your studies that your parents have paid for. Let me tell you a secret, boys and girls. Any of us are able to do any particular course. Don't ever think in your mind, I cannot do this course. Right? Some of you are good at it and you will excel in it. The rest of us just need to work hard. I am just an average student. I'll tell you very frankly. I'm an average student. I needed to work very hard in order to get to where I am. In order to get a 1st class, in order to get a distinction, in order to complete my PhD, I just had to work very hard. Because I'm not a brilliant student. I'm not somebody who has a photographic memory. I'm not somebody who easily remembers and understands. Chemistry was my worst subject. And I loved biology and English. These were the 2 subjects I loved. Everything else was very hard. I had to struggle. Hindi, I struggled. Right? But you can take up any course. You can study any course if you put your mind to it. Okay? So even if you feel that at some point you're in the wrong course, if you have the opportunity to change, perfectly fine. No problem. But if you're in the middle of the course, parents have already paid the fees, whatever it is, finish it. That's okay. At some point, it will be of value to you. There was another boy, a very good friend of mine, who studied MBBS. He took maybe 10 years to finish the 5-year program. He took 10 years to finish 5 years MBBS. And at the end of it, you know, he was so fed up. But today he's the vice president of a pharmaceutical company. And his MBBS degree got him that post. And he is excelling. He is doing so well in, you know, his profession. So well in his profession. He was born to be a manager, actually, you know, but because his parents sent him to Manipal and he was from the US and, you know, he had to finish his course. Somehow he finished it, you know, but now he is doing so well. So, boys and girls, it is important for you to accept that, you know, you can change mid-course or you can change after your course. You can change even after 10 years. It is okay. There are people, you know, when I was in my first year as a lecturer of anatomy, you know who is my student? A 60-year-old Australian, not Australian, American white nurse, a retired nurse, came to study MBBS in Manipal, and she was my student at the dissection table. Can you believe it? At 60 years of age, she decided, I want to study MBBS. And she finished it. She finished the course. Another of my students was a PhD in biochemistry, Punjabi, Sikh. You know, he went to the US, he finished his MSc in Ludhiana, went to the US, finished his PhD in biochemistry, then came back to do MBBS. And now he is an MD, PhD, and he came with, you know, he left his wife and children behind in the US and he came and he studied in Manipal and he went back. You know, so that tells me, you know, that at any time, boys and girls, you need to be ready to keep studying, ready to keep learning, to follow your passion. Don't be afraid to follow your passion. Today, even our parents are more amiable to the new types of professions. You know, we had a boy, Siddharth. Siddharth, I forget his name for a second name. He is a Clarentian. You know, he said he came to judge one of our clads competitions about 5-6 years ago. And when I met him, he said, "Sir, I was horrible in my studies. I hated every class. I couldn't, you know." And he was a very naughty boy. He tells me, you know, I wasn't there when he was studying in Clarence, but he said, "You know what I loved?" He said, "I loved clads. I loved the extracurricular activities." Today, Siddharth is running a successful video graphics studio, and he makes animations and videos as advertisements for the biggest companies in the world. He showed me at that time, 5-6 years ago, he showed me the ad that he had made for the new Toyota Innova Crista. Beautiful. And he is the one who also helped us, you know, with our speech day song programs. You know, the two choirs and the dancers. His studio helped to mix those programs, right? So what I'm trying to say is, at some point, you know, you will just excel. To run a graphic studio, you know, like that, you know, it's a business. It's not easy. That is his passion, right? And you should have, you know, there are parents who are willing to help you to do that. Okay. Next point. Boys and girls, it's important for you to become the best in your profession. And there are two ways that you can become the best. Number one, you should acquire the education, degrees, and qualifications that are required to be the best, to be qualified in that profession. Right? The basic education and additional qualifications that are required to qualify for that job. Right? When you go for an interview, why should they pick you? Because you have the qualifications and the extra certifications required. And today, in many places, they look at your extracurricular activities. They look at what other activities you are involved in. What else do you bring to the table? What talent? What social consciousness? That means, boys and girls, were you involved in any social work? You know, many years ago when I first joined as principal, about 9 years ago, you know, a parent came and told me that his son, who attended the interview at CMC Vellore, did not get in. You know why? Because he got a C in SUPW. He got a C in SUPW. You know what that C told the interviewers at CMC Vellore? That this boy was not interested in any social work. You know, that in the eyes of the teacher, he had not done anything significant in SUPW. And because of that C, you know, the only people who make it to the interview at CMC Vellore are those who have 90 plus. But why he got rejected? Because he got a C in SUPW. That was a very, very powerful lesson for me. You know, very powerful lesson. That these small things that we ask you to do, you know, the small thing, these are the things that will affect you in the future. Did I tell you about my B.Ed? You know, when I was, after my BSc, there was 1 year which I gave to God to serve in a Christian organization called Evangelical Union. So I gave 1 year of my life, that is 93, 94, straight after my BSc. And then the following year, I actually didn't get admission to masters, even though I tried. And so that 1 year, I just simply did a B.Ed. Just like that. It was just a very short course. It was, you know, it was a correspondence course with Madurai Kamaraj University. And my study center was in Pondicherry. We went there, we wrote the exam. I didn't think too much about it because, you know, I thought, okay, anyway, I'm free. Let me do my B.Ed. You know what got me the job at Clarence School? It is my B.Ed, not my PhD. The B.Ed which I did in that gap year of mine, which took me only 6 months to finish, and you know, which I had not taken very seriously. Of course, I got a distinction in that, but that is the B.Ed which was absolutely essential for me to apply for the job of principal at Clarence High School. And I'm saying that to tell you, boys and girls, nothing is a mistake. You know, you give your best in everything that you do, and you will see it reap dividends in the days to come. Rich dividends in the days to come. So number one, qualification. Get the qualifications required. You know, you should not be, your application should not be thrown out because you're not qualified. But number two, you should be known as the best in your profession. You should be known as the best in your profession. That is absolutely essential, right? You should have the best voice, which has trained, which has, you know, able to take all the variations going up and down, intonations and tone, keep yourself healthy. You know, if you're a doctor, you should be good at what you do, and that requires hours and hours of practice, right? And if your application goes up, they should say, he's the best. You know, I want you to remember Daniel in the Bible. You know, Daniel, it says he was the king conducted the viva for these men, you know, who are trained in the Babylonian college. The king himself conducted a viva voce. And it says Daniel and his 3 friends were 10 times better than all the other astrologers and magicians in the land. Why? God's favor was upon them. But it was not just a miracle. They would have worked hard. They would have worked hard. In any profession, if you want to command the salary, you want to command that profession, you must be the best. You know, all our actors, for example, how do they keep in shape? Because they spend 3 to 4 hours every day working hard. They're literally starving through the day to maintain their figure. Right? They cannot look like that if they just let themselves go. If they are lazy all the time, they have to work hard. They have to work hard. You have to maintain. In fact, I don't know, recently I was reading about Zac Efron. Yeah, I hope you know about Zac Efron. You know, he had such a perfect shape and body. But he said, it is too hard. It's too hard for me to maintain this. And he just stopped. He said, I'm giving up. I'm not going to maintain this body because it's horrible. It's so hard to maintain, you know, the exercise, the diet, etc., etc. He said, I'll remain healthy, but I'm not going to try to maintain this particular, you know, where every single muscle can be seen, etc. You know, but he reached that point because he was able to do that hard work. So, boys and girls, whatever profession you choose, that's okay. Right? Now, what if your parents don't agree with the profession that you choose? What are you going to do? Right? Jordan said you want to be an astronaut. What if your parents had nothing doing? We are not sending you into space. What will you do?
Sir, then I would tell them that I would be a bus reader, sir.
You will be a?
Bus reader.
Okay. So you have an option.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But your first preference is the astronaut, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So why would you want to give it up so fast?
Sir, it's option. So if I don't get a chance to be astronaut, I'll be a bus reader.
Yeah. So it is good, boys and girls, to have a dialogue with your parents. Right? Don't try to argue with them, but you have to present. You're absolutely right. Mahev said it. Try to convince them. You know, you present facts and figures before them. You should be prepared with your facts and figures as to why you believe this profession is good and why you can excel in that. Why you can excel in that. Right? Yes, show them that it's worthy of doing the course, that there is scope for it, right? So they should believe in you. They should believe in you. They should believe that you can do it. And see, they may not have all the knowledge about it, right? All of us grow up in a certain understanding of the world, right? Sometimes our understanding is limited. It's okay, right? So when you see something new, you know, you present the facts to your parents. Okay. Are there certain professions which we should not do?
Serial killer.
Yes, that's a profession, correct. Right? We have professional killers, professional rioters. You know, we have people who make a money. You know, the politician hires them as well as the criminal. He's available for both. You just have to pay him the money. All he's bothered about is the money. Correct. What else? Right? Anything which is illegal, hacking. Yes. Why is engineering in India not something you should take up? It's okay, you can take it up. You know, but for example, professions which are banned, like the mafia, you know, sex trafficking, sex working. These are things, of course, drug trafficking. These are things we should not get into. Right? Okay. Counterfeiting, yes. Pirating. So, in general, boys and girls, there are things which are banned. There are things which are unethical. Those are things you should not take up. You know, today there is there's a huge profession and money in hacking into people's accounts. You know, you would have seen the movie about Jharkhand. What is famous about Jharkhand, you know? There are huge buildings, 3-4 story buildings, and a lot of young men and women are sitting in those buildings and they are hacking into bank accounts. They are calling up and cheating people into saying, you know, give us your username and password and the PIN number which has come to your phone, saying so many things, you know. They will say, we are from your credit card company. They will not mention which credit card. They will just say, we are from the credit card company and we have this offer. Would you like to come into it? Every day I get emails in my account from, you know, the front of it will say Apple, and your account is your account is in danger of being closed because of some payment. Click on this link and update your payment account, and things will be okay. Otherwise, your account is going to be blocked. If I click on any of those, I know that they will capture my information and they will take all the money which is in my bank account, right? Or they will use my credit card to make purchases for themselves. These are people making a living out of cheating other people. And this is in Jharkhand. And they're ready to do that. You know why? Because the penalty for that is only 2 years in prison. The penalty for hacking is only 2 years in prison, and they may get out in 1 year. So they're ready to do that. You know, in the meantime, they've got lakhs and lakhs in the bank. So these are all dangerous professions that you and I should avoid. You know, what is ethical? Even businesses, boys and girls, it's good. If you have a flair for it, you know, get into business. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any questions from your side? We can continue this discussion next week. But if you have any questions, please write to me or we can discuss it next week.